Have you ever read a book that made complete sense to you? Maybe you highlighted it, perhaps you took some notes, and maybe you even told somebody about it. But 6 months later, nothing changed. Not because the book was wrong, or because you're not intelligent, but maybe because information and transformation are not the same thing. And I want to start with something personal. And it's something that I don't think I've said on this platform before. And I want to start with a story that still makes me uncomfortable to tell. I could not receive what they were giving me. I just could not. Most people who struggle with money know how to budget. People that struggle with smoking know that smoking is not healthy. So knowing was never the missing piece. And this is why the books you have been reading have not been enough. You cannot change what you cannot see. But once you see it, you can begin to change it. Have you ever read a book that made complete sense to you? Maybe you highlighted it, perhaps you took some notes, and maybe you even told somebody about it. But 6 months later, nothing changed. Not because the book was wrong, or because you're not intelligent, but maybe because information and transformation are not the same thing. And today I want to show you why. And I want to start with something personal. And it's something that I don't think I've said on this platform before. So welcome back to season 2 of Rewire with Rose. And in this episode, we are still in the R. We are talking about reflect. Last week, I told you about the inner voice. And we said that the inner voice is the signal that arrives before your conscious mind catches up. The wisdom you've been trained to call self-doubt. But today we are going to go one layer deeper, and we are going to look at the system or the foundation that's underneath that voice. Because in the last episode, remember when I asked you to write down what your inner voice has been saying to you in the meetings during that week. And I wonder if you did that. I hope you did. And if you did, I wonder if what you wrote surprised you. Because maybe what you heard and what you did with it is the same gap that we are talking about today. And that's the gap between knowing and believing. I'm Rose, and I want to start with a story that still makes me uncomfortable to tell. So, I got a first-class honors in my bachelor's. And I remember when the results came out, I still remember clearly that people started congratulating me. And, family, friends, colleagues, they were calling me to congratulate me. And I remember standing there in the middle of all that warmth and all that celebration and wondering, what were they talking about? And it was not false modesty. It was not performance. It was a genuine internal question that I had. And I was wondering, what are they making the fuss about? And I remember telling them to stop, because I said it was nothing unusual, that they should not make such a big deal out of it. And I meant it, because on the outside, there was a first-class honors, but on the inside, the picture had not really moved. I could not receive what they were giving me. I just could not. And it's not because I did not work hard for it. I had worked very hard for it. But because something deeper than the result had not been updated in my mind. And to this day, I never bring that result up in conversations. I don't. Because bringing it up feels like pride. It's like puffing myself up. And putting myself in the spotlight was never something that I was supposed to stand in or something that I was supposed to do. So for a long time, I thought that was humility, because I grew up being taught about humility as a Christian value, as a family value. And, we were constantly told, do not puff yourself up, because no one is better than anyone else. And I received that teaching genuinely. I still hold it to date. But somewhere between the teaching and my subconscious mind, humility became something else. It became, do not stand out. Do not claim what you have built. Do not let them see you in the light. And really, that's not humility. That is something that's older. It's something sitting in there. Something that was not chosen consciously. It is something that was simply just absorbed. And we are going to trace it fully over the next few episodes. But first, I want to show you the science that explains why that absorption happened and why knowing better has never been enough to undo it. Most people who struggle with money know how to budget. People that struggle with smoking know that smoking is not healthy. People that struggle with weight know that, carrying around excess weight is not good for you. And most leaders who over-delegate know they need to let go. Most ambitious people who undercharge for their rates, maybe their consulting rates, they know they are charging low. So knowing was never the missing piece. Something else is running the show. In the last episode, we talked about the research by Dr. Bruce Lipton of Stanford University, who found that 95% of your daily life is run by your subconscious mind. So it's not your planning, it's not your goal setting, it's the storage part. It's what you have stored. It's the part that absorbed everything before you turned 7 years old. And before you could question it. Because before you could place any filter on it, you just absorbed. And here is what that means. Your conscious mind can read every book that you have on the shelf. Your conscious mind can agree with every leadership principle. It can agree with every good thing that you have been taught. Your conscious mind can set the goals. It can make the plans. It can write the vision board. It can rally you. But your subconscious mind will just nod along, and it will keep running the same program anyway. Because the subconscious mind does not speak the language of logic. It speaks the language of repetition. It speaks the language of emotion, the language of survival. Years ago, there's a plastic surgeon named Maxwell Matz who noticed something in his patients. He would perform surgery and the scars would disappear. The face would change. The surgery succeeded completely. And yet some patients still believed they were not attractive. Nothing outside had changed the picture that they carried inside. We have read on social media many times about celebrities who do numerous plastic surgeries, but they keep doing them, until it just becomes too much. We can't recognize them. Maltz realized something that changed how we understood human behavior. The brain does not respond to objective reality. It responds to self-image. This is the internal picture. The story the subconscious mind has been told and has been telling for years. And this is why some people can earn more money and still feel poor. And why some receive promotions and they still feel imposter syndrome. Why some are congratulated for the first class honors they duly got, and tell everyone to stop making a fuss. Because the achievement arrived on the outside, but the internal picture was not updated. And until that picture changes, the behavior will keep returning to whatever the subconscious mind believes is normal. And this is not a weakness. It's how the system works. It's how the subconscious mind works. And you cannot fix a system you do not first understand. And this is why the books you have been reading have not been enough. Not because they were wrong, but because the books speak to your conscious mind. And your conscious mind is only running 5% of the show. So you can understand completely and intellectually that you deserve to be congratulated, that your results are worth celebrating, that your work is worth claiming, and your subconscious mind will hear all of that and go right back to telling people to stop making a fuss. Because the subconscious mind was not built by understanding. It was built by experience, repeated over years, before you were old enough to choose what went in. And it can only be rebuilt the same way, not by knowing differently, but by experiencing differently, consistently, over time. So that is Rewire. And that is what this season is about. So last week we focused on talking about the inner voice, the quiet signal that knows before you can explain it. What I want you to understand now is that the signal is coming from this same system. Your subconscious has been collecting every pattern, every outcome, in every room, and it sends you the output before your conscious mind has caught up. When I sat in the donor meeting that I spoke to you about in the last episode, I knew that the collaboration would not work because that was 95% of my mind doing its job. It was not magic. It's not that I was brighter than everybody else in that room. It was pattern recognition. The same system that received that first class honors and said, this is not who you are. That system is not your enemy. It is just running old information. And starting this week, we are going to be updating it. So I want to say something about the humility teaching that I spoke about earlier. Because I don't want you to leave this episode thinking that your faith got it wrong. Because it did not. Humility is a value that I still hold to date. I still believe that no one is better than anyone else. I still believe that character matters more than credentials. But I've also had to learn something, that there's a difference between humility and invisibility. Humility says I'm not above anyone else. Invisibility says I'm not allowed to be seen. One is a spiritual posture, while the other one is a subconscious programming. And for a long time, I was calling the second one the first. I was mixing them up. I was calling the program a virtue. And it is what made it so hard to question, because you don't question virtues. So we'll go deeper into this in the coming weeks. But for now, I want to plant this question to you. What if the teaching was right? And what the subconscious mind did with it was something else entirely different. So this week, think about one moment where something good happened in your life. Maybe it was an achievement, maybe it was a recognition, maybe it was a result, and you could not fully receive it. You deflected, maybe you minimized, maybe you told them to stop. Maybe someone was telling you that you made such an excellent presentation, you did such a great job, and you started minimizing it. Or maybe somebody was telling you you're dressed well, you're looking very nice, and maybe you started telling them how what you have is very cheap. I want you to write down, and then write down what you said to yourself in that moment. Not what you said aloud, what you said in your mind. That internal sentence is a clue. And it's a signal from your subconscious mind. And next week, we are going to trace it back to where it started. So that first class honors I was talking about was real. The work that I did to get there was real. The result was real. And something inside me could not receive any of it. So it wasn't a character flaw. So that is not a character flaw. It's a system running on old information. And the most important thing I want you to hear today is this. You cannot change what you cannot see. But once you see it, you can begin to change it. So that is Rewire. I'm Rose, and thank you for being here. Leave a comment. Tell me one achievement you have minimized or deflated. I'll be reading those comments. Subscribe so that you can get the next episodes. We drop new episodes every Tuesday.